What if? What if? What if? Wow, that's all I can say is what if? What if I could? What if I did? What if I accomplished something that people told me I couldn't do? So all I have to say is 500 episodes. 500 episodes. And I got to be honest, even saying that out loud doesn't even seem real. It didn't even seem like it was possible. It really didn't. And so here is the thing, 500 moments of sharing with each and every one of you my journey of podcasting, of business growth, of ups and downs, self-doubt, lack of self-confidence. So those 500 times where I sat here behind this mic, chasing this question that started it all. What if they said that will never work? Could it actually? Let's talk about it right after this.
Educate, empower, enable, impact. Thank you for tuning in to That Will Never Work, an award-winning podcast where we share inspiring information and personal experiences related to business and the entrepreneurial journey from those who are leaders in their respective field. Now, here's your host, author and business coach, Maurice.
See, here's something I really would like for you to understand, is that when I started on this podcasting journey, I didn't have a map. I didn't have an example of an individual that was putting myself around or in, or, I wanted to follow. I didn't have that example, and so I was just on a mission to find a way to grow and touch individuals, to help people to understand where they are in their space in their life, and to silence my own self-doubt, to experience a shift in my mindset, and to remind individuals along with myself that the impossible is possible. And so here's what 500 episodes really taught me. They taught me that my imagination was limited. Here's what I mean by that. See, there are three things that we're going to talk about that let you know that my imagination, that lends itself to my imagination, and what I thought I could or couldn't do. We're going to talk about that. And so the very first thing I want to say to you is that, and it relates to my world famous question, that every episode is a door. And so with that door, every single moment is a doorway. Now, some doors open easily. Some of them you got to kick through. And so, Maurice, what do you mean by that? So, when you wake up in the morning, what is your mindset? So I know for myself, I had to be and fight through and deal with consistency challenges. Now, if you've been following me, we've been doing this for 6 years. And so in the very big first season, I believe I only did maybe 15 to 20 episodes. And then maybe even 30. I think it was 15 to 20. And then the next year I did 30. And then the following year is where things really took a change. It started to turn because I really started to push myself into a whole nother place. And that's where the consistency part comes into play, where you understand that, hey, this is not enough. And the impact that I'm truly making, because I only know it from all of you that's been listening and giving me feedback, that with that consistency, we are changing lives throughout the process. And so I challenged myself that I wanted to interview a lot of different people. And so I did jump onto a platform or a few platforms that would help me get to that point. And so with that, I have been able to interview well over 200 people, 200 people that are entrepreneurs, that are creators, that are inventors, that have changed and made an impact not only in themselves, but the community that they serve. Maurice, I want to be that individual. That's what I would say to myself. And so the more and more I spoke to these individuals and I started to become more and more creative, I started packaging these individuals into groups and started to push it out as if it was my own little summit, my own little keynote moment or whatever it was, because I wanted that impact to really resonate with anybody and everybody that was listening. And so here's what happens in that moment. You start to see your numbers rise. You start to see that, hey, you're considered one of the top podcasters in your area, not just your area, but the world. And so what you find out is that this particular door might be what your strengths are. It might be where you're supposed to be. This might be the way that you're going to see the greatest impact across the board. And so I have learned that growth is not always just finding the right door, but you have to be able to walk through it and grow from it and understand that impact being the next part of this, it is a beautiful thing as you start to feel it. You don't always have to realize it. And the impact comes from possibly getting those DMs. The impact comes from the people that you see in the street. The impact comes from those individuals that you start to talk to any and everywhere, because if you put yourself around the right individuals, which is that breakfast table mentality, you are the sum of the 5 people that you're around the most. And so if you're starting to be around those individuals that are speaking life, those individuals that are speaking creativity, those that are speaking about being impactful, those individuals are going to be the ones that's going to propel you to another level. And so now that you are in that process of walking and talking it, is a way of life. And so now your impact is going to remind you every single day that consistency, dependability, and how you maneuver through this world is going to continue to grow your legacy. It's not going to always be that one thing. It can, sometimes that happens in a bolt of lightning mentality. But there are some things that happens where you have to do it over a longer period of time. And that's where we are with 500 episodes. We didn't realize the impact that we were really going to have. And so with that comes the idea that the work will never stop. See, at the very beginning, as I stated, that I didn't have a map. I didn't have an idea of, hey, you know what, I'm gonna get to this number and it'll be all over. Like, I didn't have that, and so I kept going. And one of the things that I had to understand was, in this journey of podcasting, for me especially, because it made me more accountable to myself, let alone each and every one of you. I had to become more accountable, and I made myself more accountable, which made me decide every day, Maurice, you're going to get on this microphone. You're going to talk to this community. And now in that, you're going to evolve. So regardless of people saying to you, Maurice, that'll never work, because guess what? We're not trying to prove people wrong. Sometimes we have been, maybe not the right idea, because if you go in with the wrong intentions, longevity doesn't always happen. And so if you are going in with a little better intentions, because we all don't start off the right way, but sometimes in that growth mindset, things can change. Your ideas can change. The influences can change. And so now as you're having that growth mindset, and now you understand that I have gone in maybe with a weird mentality a little bit, And now I understand that really what my real purpose is, because I'm starting to get the feedback from everyone. I'm in that feedback loop, and I understand that in for myself personally, as I have been interviewing all these individuals, they have challenged me more than I would have ever imagined. Every single person. And what happens is that now you have transformed into something else. I'll give you an example of being challenged. I did an interview, and there's one individual, we're talking, we're sharing information or whatever it is, and he said, Maurice, just do it. Just do it. Like, get up off your whatever, right? And just do it. So how many of you are struggling with that today, of just getting up and doing it because someone told you it's not going to happen? Because someone told you can't reach that mountaintop? Because someone told you that, that particular goal, that dream, that is not reality. And a lot of us deal with that on an ongoing basis, that we can't do that. And so he told me, Maurice, get up, stop being lazy, and put forth a lot more effort. Here's another story. I had an interview, and he recommended me to someone. And he said, Maurice, it appears that even though you have a decent message, you need to become more focused in your messaging, which I have been. Again, we've seen growth within the podcast. And then I had someone else who said, Maurice, change up your format of your show. Listen to some real radio stations, real radio shows, and understand the format and how they move forward within the show. So I had done that. So everything is not a YouTube vibe. Everything is not a let me just get it done vibe. You have to understand that this is a craft. You have to understand that you have to study, not just, some individuals on YouTube, but you got to study the greats. You need to understand the history of podcasting. You need to understand that podcasting didn't just start 5, 6, 7 years ago. It's been a very long time. And then someone else said, Maurice, you are the best podcaster. You are a great podcaster. No one knows you. And so this all happened within these interviews that I have experienced on this show. Maurice, you have a great personality. You ask wonderful questions. Your mind is going. You're brilliant. You're understanding. You're compassionate. But Maurice, what direction are you going in? Who is your target market? And so I ask each and every one of you the same thing. As you're growing, as you're evolving, because all this is a moments of evolving. All these are moments of growth. All these are moments of where you need to take the time to understand who you are and what you are in this environment. And so now today, we are an award-winning podcast because someone said, don't nobody know who you are. Because someone said, Maurice, work harder, put yourself out there. We are top 5% in the world. Oh, you know what? Because of consistency, we have shattered. No, and it depends on who you listen to, because they say most podcasters don't get to episode 3, 5, or 10. It all depends on who you listen to. And so we have shattered that number of 10. If that's the 10 is the top, most people don't get to that point. We are at number 500, and I encourage each and every one of you that you can get to that point as well. 10 episodes versus 500. Now, Maurice, it sounds like it's a lot, right? It sounds like, I can't get to that point. It sounds like I don't know, I don't have that consistency or whatever it might be. No one says you have to do what I have done. How I've gone from 20 to 30 to 100. Then I think I went down to 75 because I was adjusting some things, and then back to 116 or whatever it was for that one season, whatever it might have been, and but you have to understand what your niche is and what your topics are, and how do you ensure that these individuals are going to get the most out of what you're asking them, along with understanding what you're going to get out of it as well. And what is your audience? Who is your target? What are you trying to convey to these individuals? Again, 500 moments of being honest and true. 500 moments of looking in the mirror and saying, you know what? I don't like where I am. I don't like what I've become. Here's how we're going to change it. I don't like the individuals, or I'm not comfortable with the individuals that I'm sitting around with all the time. So I need to change the conversation. I need to continue to grow. 500 moments. 500 moments in time that we have now accomplished to get to the point where we are today. And so here is growth. Here's a moment of growth. See, this video, this podcast episode that you're looking at or listening to, one or the other, for those of you who have been following me, I had not been putting out any of the episodes. I was a little nervous and a little gun shy, if you will, of being on video. But here I am. Here I am. And you'll be seeing a lot more of me moving forward. So again, here's growth. Here's a moment of growth. Here's a moment of overcoming a moment of self-doubt and self-confidence. Overcoming those moments of, you know what, maybe I fit, maybe I don't fit. Maybe my message is not right for everybody. Well, it isn't. Everyone's not going to like you. Everyone's not going to ride with you. Everyone is not going to agree with you. So you have to be okay with that. Sometimes we're not understanding that. And so for each and every one of you, I thank you, sincerely thank you for being here with me, because the purpose doesn't stop. The purpose continues to expand as we move forward. And so for all of you that have been listening with me, riding with me, I just want to say thank you. To all of you that are entrepreneurs, creators, dreamers, and who have been on this ride with me, you have made this more than a podcast. It has truly been a movement. It has been a movement because we are affecting and impacting lives that we would have never encountered in our wildest dreams. When you sit back and take a look at the stats and see that, about half of my listeners are not even in the same country that I live in. That is something to be excited about. That is something to be proud of, and say, even though people said it wasn't going to work, it's working. And so to each and every one of you that I have interviewed, oh my gosh, there's no way that I can express my gratitude to you. And so I will say this though. To the very first person I ever interviewed on this show, being Coach LaToya Little, I thank you that you helped me find my voice when I was still learning to grasp it, to trust in it. I thank you to Kirsten Greggs, the trap recruiter. And you reminded me how real conversations can change lives, because if you listen to the episode way back when, Kirsten and I grew up together. Kirsten and I are in that place of being childhood friends, of being church friends, where we never imagined that both of us would be in this place or this space together. And Kirsten, I thank you very much, sincerely, from the bottom of my heart. You have truly made a difference. And to the last individuals that I have interviewed on this show, being John Stammel and Renee Hastings, I truly appreciate you, because both of you showed up authentically, and your leadership continually to show through the episodes, and how the connections have grown since we've spoken last and on this show. And so I just want to say thank you to both of you. And that has only been the example of everyone else that I've interviewed prior. All of you were authentic. All of you helped me grow to who I am today and to what I am today, and assisted in me finding my voice on this podcast. We all help each other out. We all grow together. I have been on other podcast episodes with some of these individuals. I've been on their shows, and it was fun. You understand that, hey, again, your imagination is your limitation. Imagine bigger, dream bigger, especially if the idea scares you. It should. It really should, because then you know that you're outside of yourself. You're outside of the box in all reality. And so, with saying that, to my business coach, Maxine Johnson, I thank you for reminding me that leadership starts with alignment. She kept trying to realign me because sometimes, again, we look at other people, we get influenced by others, and trying to understand whether or not our mission or our vision we're still on point. And she kept reminding me, Maurice, stay on track. You got it. You good. And stop worrying about this, and stop. Just understand that your heart is in the right place. Your mission is correct, and let's keep it moving. So each and every one of you, sometimes you need that coach to help you move forward. So, and me as a coach, I listen to my coach to help each and every one of you. To my family, you have truly been my anchor, my rock through every storm that, and you remind me constantly that no dream is too crazy, especially if it's rooted in love. And to my wife, there's so much I could say, because we've been through this process for 25 years of marriage, not in business, but in marriage. And you have been rocking with me and holding me down in this podcasting space, encouraging me, understanding that it's long nights. Even the other night when I was up pacing the floor, saying things all out loud, and you're like, yeah, Maurice, I got you. Okay, I got you. Entertaining my thoughts and my ideas or whatever it might have been. I thank you very much for believing in me, and that even when we had those moments of hard conversations, that you still stayed true and you stayed connected to the vision. And so, to every time that someone says that this show has changed your life, you are truly, truly a part of it, because I know that you've changed mine. And so I thank you very much for listening today. I thank you very much for being a part of this journey. And for those of you who know, wait a second. I have to answer my question. I started off the show with saying the very first point was a part of my question. So for those of you who don't know, as I call it my world famous question, because I ask everybody that I've ever interviewed this question. I didn't originate the question, but I ask all of my guests, would you rather choose 3 doors or a fork in the road? Now, before, I used to choose the fork in the road, but I really had to think about this in this light, and understanding that for those of you who've never heard the question, but I really would like for you to consider this as you answer this question. When you answer it, there's no right or wrong answer, because it will always evolve. There's no right or wrong answer, because you have to think outside the box. And it's going to take you being consistent to make things actualize, to be realized. And so I need you to think from your imagination. Think of it as from a kid perspective, because kids allow their imaginations to run wild. So be childlike in this response. And so in this place for me, though, as of today, I would choose the 3 doors. And I think of the 3 doors in this sense: success, struggle, and surprise. Now, I don't know what's behind these 3 doors. I don't know. But I've had some people who've mentioned that the doors were glass and acrylic. So again, thinking outside the box, thinking outside yourself. But for myself, these 3 doors are closed. They are a thick 4-inch piece of wood or whatever. And so, with that being said, success, struggle, and surprise. Consistency is a struggle. And to my surprise, we've had success. And so, keep in mind, success is in the eye of the beholder. 500 episodes is a success. For me, for those of you who have thousands of episodes, congratulations. I mean, I applaud you because it's not a lot. That's not easy to do. For those of you who have 2 episodes, I applaud you as well because you're getting over the hump. So the struggle is real. Consistency, dependability, reliability, all those pieces can be a struggle. And then to your surprise, you will find success. And that success is understanding that the term "that will never work," you have now flipped the message. You have now flipped the idea. And now the direction that you're going in, behind every door, there's technically some type of fork in the road at any given time anyway, because you have to make a decision. And every decision is not about the direction. It's not about, hey, if this is right or wrong. Every decision has the opportunity for growth. Every decision has the opportunity to learn something. Every decision now has a influence on not just yourself, but your community. So I thank each and every one of you for listening. And I made a decision that 500 episodes and really trying to perfect this thing, it's only the beginning. I thank y'all very much for listening. I'll talk to y'all a little bit later.
Thanks for listening. Follow Maurice Chisholm on social media to stay connected and check back weekly for new episodes. Until next time, that will never work. Or will it?